I do not stand for racism, white supremacy, or anything of the sort, nor do I align with the beliefs of neo-Nazism. I knew someone who has public views that I do not align with.
That Hitler was actually probably the best hero of last century instead of the epitome of evil.
And this saddens me, but of course, I don't have control over the views of everyone that I meet.
My beard has gotten considerably longer since the last time we addressed this, so it must be time for an update. Fully Raw Christina, late last night, posted another statement on Instagram clarifying her position on this. Sadly, just like the earlier statement, it's full of lies. And in fact, if you compare the two statements, it's interesting that her current story is not even internally consistent. Here is a post from Richard Burgess's Twitter. If you don't know the name Richard Burgess, he is the infamous YouTube commentator, Vegan Gains. And you will see that over a year ago, getting on to 2 years ago now, when he confronted Fully Raw Christina about this, and he wasn't the first, I was, what Fully Raw Christina says back is, "I'm not a racist anti-Semite, so why even accuse me of this? John Rose introduced me to the new vegan lifestyle. I can be grateful to him for that. Being vegan has changed my life, blah, 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 blah." The problem is, this is totally inconsistent with what her story is today. She isn't just minimizing her past relationship with John Rose, she's lying about it. And if her current story were true, she would have responded to this by saying, "What? What do you mean John Rose is anti-Semitic? What do you mean he's a neo-Nazi? What? This is the first time I've ever heard of this." Her current story is that she had no idea he had these anti-Semitic, politically inflammatory, racist views until afterwards, until after her years and years of collaborating with him, promoting him, praising him as her personal spiritual guru.
And the real Holocaust happened to Germany after the war because they had to destroy proof what Germany was doing. They were flourishing. Google or watch the video Hellstorm. That's the true Holocaust. Millions and millions of Germans were literally burned, and that's what the word Holocaust means. Burned alive. That's the real Holocaust. And the other Jewish Holocaust is to cover up the real German Holocaust. What do you do when you Holocaust everybody? You turn around, you become the victim. It's the same thing that Daniel Quinn points out in his book Ishmael.
I do not stand for racism, white supremacy, or anything of the sort, nor do I align with the beliefs of neo-Nazism. I knew someone who has public views that I do not align with. And this saddens me, but of course, I don't have control over the views of everyone that I meet. And those who choose to believe a false narrative of me will, and those who really know me and who have stood by my side, this message is for you. Because you deserve to hear me stand up, and you deserve to see me stand up for myself in this way.
When someone calls you an anti-Semite, it's the same thing as if someone's calling you a conspiracy theorist. They're either an imbecile or an instigator. So when somebody talks about what really happened at this time, and everyone comes in and starts yelling anti-Semite, anti-Semite, that's a trick. As Voltaire once said, to learn who rules over you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Can't criticize certain groups of people because the Satanists are hiding inside those groups. So this has nothing to do with Jews. It has to do with Satanists.
Most of you know I have been repeatedly and falsely accused online by trolls and haters of being a racist, a white supremacist, a Holocaust denier, a neo-Nazi, and more. And Veg News not only publicly circulated this information, but also, in my opinion, stood in solidarity with the haters by removing me from their awards ballot and then announcing it publicly.
And it doesn't matter who they are. That's not what we need to know. It's immaterial. We don't need to go punish them and make them account for the time. All we need to know is, how are they ruling us? How are they doing it? Money. That's why it's so important. That's why we have trolls coming out here. So if everybody who ever comes out on my comment section and goes out anti-Semites, that's right out of the Hasbara playbook. That's what they do. They change the focus, appeal to people's emotions. Let's not talk about the real subject. There's only one thing to talk about. What is the message that we're supposed to take away from the real Holocaust and the fake Holocaust, and the fact that Hitler was actually probably the best hero of last century instead of the epitome of evil? What are we supposed to come away with that? We're supposed to only talk about one thing. What did they do to get attacked? They broke away from the people who print our money and charge us interest for it. That's what they did. That's why they were flourishing when the rest of us were starving. Don't you understand? History's going to repeat itself again. This is too friggin' important, man. You guys wake the fudge up.
This has been an absolute nightmare for me. I have been disgusted and sickened by how the situation has been handled. I have also learned much about the group of haters online who have attacked me in an organized fashion, and it's the most hypocritical situation you've ever seen. The hateful messages that I have received from this debacle, both publicly and privately, have been nothing short of absolute character defamation and libel.
Well, what I'm doing in this video, Christina, is neither character defamation nor libel. I would say that if people carefully compare just the two recent statements you made about this on your Instagram within the last week, they're going to notice that your story is internally inconsistent. They're going to start to question, and they're going to figure out that you're a liar. And if they compare what you're saying about John Rose today to what you said about him just 2 years ago, what you said about him many years ago, what you said about him when he was supposedly the guiding light in your life spiritually, and when you encouraged your million-strong audience to go over to his YouTube channel and watch his YouTube videos and to accept him also as their personal guru, as their personal savior, to allow him to transform their health and their philosophy and light up their biophotons and all this mystical horseshit. No, Christina, I don't think you're telling the truth. I don't think it's reasonable for anyone in the audience to assume that you had never gone to John Rose's YouTube channel yourself and watched his YouTube videos at the time when you were telling your audience to do so. Nobody can believe that you were that naive or you were that jejune. And again, even in the brief interaction you had with Vegan Gains, I'd assume there are several other interactions like this on the internet if we comb through and find them. You're not saying, oh, you had no idea that he held these beliefs. You knew that he held these beliefs, and you had no problem with it. You had no problem promoting this man's diet and this man's philosophy, and, as you say, feeling gratitude for him. Now, cancel culture is to some extent a real problem, and it's to some extent a form of mass hysteria to which no problem in the real world corresponds. People who've been watching this channel for a long time could say that I have myself been to some extent a target of or a victim of cancel culture. I can remember, people made up stories that I was having a love affair with a young woman who lived in Scotland. And I remember saying, and she was in her 20s. I remember saying, look, it's completely untrue. I haven't been to Scotland since I was 15 years old or something. I've been to Scotland in the distant past. I was like, if this story were true, so what? How could you cancel me? In reality, if I had a love affair with this woman, we'd probably both be on camera talking about it. It wouldn't be a secret. But just so what? I've seen scandals be manufactured out of the details of people's personal lives that were so trivial that nobody should be canceled for them. And I've seen elaborate hoaxes, fictions made up out of whole cloth on the internet, yes, to destroy me, to destroy my life, and to destroy all kinds of other people for no good reason at all, except that the members of the audience themselves enjoy that process of destruction as a kind of spectator sport. So yeah, there's a lot that's sick and bad and evil and wrong with the internet, Christina, but you're part of it. This isn't the case that you did something completely blameless, that you have nothing to apologize for, and that the internet is tearing you down and criticizing you for no reason at all. If you had been honest at every stage of this process, then sure, you probably would have nothing to apologize for. If you just had come on the internet the same day you figured out John Rose was a neo-Nazi, and you sat there and said, by Odin's beard, or whatever curse word you used, by the dead gods, that you shared how astonished and betrayed you felt to discover that someone you had placed your trust in was a Holocaust denier, we'd be in a totally different situation today. That's not what happened. You continue to support him. You continue to make excuses for his political views. You continue to say that the promotion of the vegan diet in general, and your particular form of the raw vegan diet, was something so important that you would continue to embrace, support, and promote someone who was overtly a pro-Hitler neo-Nazi.
Dun, 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 dun.